A federal court rebukes the Obama administration for, in essence, allowing one of its agencies to operate like a state in administering the federal health care program. The law calls for health care exchanges to be established by the state. However, when some states didn't participate, Health and Human Services stepped in. Now Obamacare is being challenged yet again. Here to explain the ruling and what's happening is Phil Kerpen with American Commitment. Phil, can you summarize what's going on here?
Yeah, this was the third case now in the federal courts. We've had two that made it up to the Court of Appeals level in the D.C. Circuit and the Fourth Circuit in Richmond, Virginia, and those split a couple of months ago. The D.C. Circuit Court said that it was illegal for the federal government to offer subsidies through healthcare.gov, that they were only legally authorized through state health insurance exchanges, which is what the law actually says. It says through exchanges established by the state. The Fourth Circuit disagreed. The government has appealed the D.C. Circuit case for an en banc rehearing. The plaintiffs have appealed their loss in Richmond to the U.S. Supreme Court. That is pending before the Supreme Court. And this new decision down in Oklahoma, which is in the 10th Circuit, it was in the Eastern District of Oklahoma. And that judge very strongly came down on the side of the challengers to this IRS rule, said that that rule is illegal, that when it says established by the state, that can't mean the federal Secretary of Health and Human Services. And so this is another judge who agrees with what the D.C. Circuit did. And of course, the government will appeal this up to the 10th Circuit. The bottom line coming out of this latest case, I think, is that no matter what happens in this appeal in the D.C. Circuit, sooner or later, this case is going to have to be resolved by the Supreme Court.
Why is this sort of thinking dangerous for America when it comes to the structure and limitations of our republic?
Well, if you have a Congress that passes a law that intends to rely on states to do something, and the way that they try to get the states to do it is by offering funding, and that's specifically what Obamacare did. It says you can get all these subsidies, but only if the state goes along with it. You can't have a federal agency come in after the fact when many states exercise their lawful right to opt out of those subsidies by saying no and say, you know, we're going to ignore the law and go ahead and do this anyway. If that's permissible, if the IRS is allowed to do that, then you really don't have a rule of law at all. It doesn't matter what the statutes say. You can always have a bureaucrat or a president who can just say, well, we intended something else, and then go ahead and do that. And that really degrades the whole idea of being a government of laws and not of men.
So what is next in this case and others like it?
Well, as I said, sooner or later, it's got to go to the Supreme Court. I don't know if that'll be this coming term or if they're going to wait until after the D.C. Circuit. It could be a couple years away still. But at some point, the Supreme Court will have to take up this issue. And of course, the four liberals on the court don't care about the merits of any case. They pretty much always do what the liberals want. And so they'll need to get all five conservatives to agree that the law actually is what it says. And you just never know what they're going to do, whether Roberts or Kennedy or somebody will come up with some reason to side with the liberals. But on its merits, it's a pretty clear case, and it should give the states back the right to decide whether they want to participate in Obamacare's subsidies or opt out of it.
Your thoughts, do you think Obamacare will survive all of these challenges?
Well, I think it's in serious trouble, and I don't think that the law can survive in its current form because it's just not working. Too many people are suffering as a consequence of it. Right now, we've got a Congress where the House has passed about a dozen bills to fix the worst parts of Obamacare, things like the restoring the 40-hour work week, the Keep Your Plan Act, the Hire Our Heroes Act so that you don't get penalized for hiring someone with VA or TRICARE. All these common sense fixes are being killed in the Senate right now. I don't think that can hold much longer. I think that's one of the reasons Democrats are likely to lose the Senate this year. They've been so unresponsive on health care. And I do think we're going to see major, major changes to Obamacare as soon as we have a Republican Senate, even with Obama still in the White House. A full repeal, I don't think that can happen with Obama still in the White House, but depending on what happens over the next few years, it certainly could be possible in 2017.
So what do you think the alternative is to meeting America's health care needs apart from bigger government?
You know, there are a lot of different alternatives that are on the table right now. Republicans sort of big plans to replace the whole thing. I actually don't favor that approach. I think that one of the things that people hated so much about Obamacare was the hubris of Washington politicians and bureaucrats thinking they could redesign everyone's health care, redesign a sixth of the American economy. I think the conservatives and Republicans need to resist the temptation to say, we've got our own central plan that, unlike the Democrat central plan, will actually work, and here's our 1,000-page bill. I think that we really should focus on fixing specific problems that people have got in health care so that there can be more cures, more new miracle medications, people can have longer, healthier lives, more innovation with technology. And a lot of that means getting all this regulation regulatory bureaucracy out of the way so that people who do have innovative ideas can pursue them and they can get them to market and people can try them. So I think we've got to reform the FDA process. We've got to have litigation reform. We've got to open up the possibility of disruptive, innovative changes, and we've got to focus on research, on getting the incentives right to develop new cures. And I think we can deal with the finance issues, getting away from the terrible government and insurance company bureaucracies of who pays, by getting more choice in the system and giving people options. If Obamacare doesn't work for them, it should be voluntary. They should be able to go try something else. But I don't think we need that giant fix-it-all plan. I think that trying to do that may actually paralyze us from pursuing some of the more common sense changes that we should be able to get done.
All right. Phil Kerpen with American Commitment, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.